Hello and welcome to the video. Before we get started, if you'd like to provide input on future content and get our weekly newsletter, click on our survey. The link will be below. We also have a report on Ethereum 2, along with a bonus report on why you should learn Solidity now. Again, the link will be below. Now on to the video, and thank you. Okay, so I'm still working on this, trying to get passing data to and back. What I noticed is the thing I have to get my head around is this Bosch deserialize and how to get it to actually take the data in. So I created this thing called, let's see, where am I? Back at the top. I tried to create this expand greeting account to have a string. Now, what I'm finding is, so I bring it in there. Let me close this. And could be a little bit of a pain. What the heck is going on here? There we go. So what I want to do is bring up let's see, program. So this is our Rust program. You can see I've been messing around with it here. I added the greeting string as a string. And where I think it's failing is, see, this it does just fine. Then it has to try to parse this thing. Now this was working fine with just the number. Added the string and it didn't like that. So this is kind of where it's having a problem. The idea is it has to, you deserialize it, and then you serialize it back, and that should have your data. Now, for some reason, I am finding that these Bosch commands are not very well documented when I try to research it. In the Bosch library, we have Bosch deserialize and Bosch serialize, I think that's the whole key. I'm definitely getting to the program. I am passing the data in, and that's where it gets unhappy. So that's kind of an update on the status. Again, once we figure out, now one other thing to be aware of that was working really well is right down here where I pass the instruction data. This is working just fine. And it actually prints the string out. My guess is, and this is what I'm kind of thinking, is you have that program data. You know that, and you have to pass it as a buffer because that's what it's specified as. You know that you can make a string buffer, but make it in a structured type of string like JSON or XML, and then you'd be able to parse it within your program and reserialize it. And I think that may be a better approach. I'm not sure in this slow world. I'm not even 100% sure where the counter is coming from. I have a feeling it's not passed, that it's kept track of. This is what I think's happening. I think, as I'm talking to you here, I think I just had my kind of a light bulb moment here. I am thinking that I'm trying to pass things through the greeting account. No. The greeting account is what handles things on the on the side of, I'm thinking it handles it, not passing things, but keeping track of things in the DApp. The data really has to be passed in that data area. And so I think what I'm trying to do here is kind of not right. And what I'm gonna do, let me see something here. Let me get rid of, well, I'm afraid I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. What I'm gonna do for tomorrow is I'm gonna work up an example using the app data, sorry, what do they call it? The data, instruction data, the way I think it's supposed to be used, which is I'm going to create a little simple JSON and put, let's say, 2 different strings in it or different things. You pass it in as a buffer. You can deserialize it because what I was able to do, let me show you this. Since it was passed in as part of the instruction, I was able to deserialize it and print it out. So if I can do it with a simple string, I can do it with JSON. Once you have it as JSON, then you can do whatever the heck you want with it. It's just a bunch of data. And if you work with this stuff, you know that typical way used to be you pass things through XML. XML is still used in configuration, still used in certain things, but the modern way to do it is through JSON, where you create a little JSON string, which is very structured data, and you pass it in. You can pass it however you'd like, wherever, between different things, and because it's a string. And the string can be taken and converted to a class. And once you have a class in your program, you could do whatever that class lets you do. So that's very commonly used. And I think that's where we have to go here. I think that's kind of the counter and the greeting account. I don't think that's really meant, it's not passed, because when if you look at the code, let me go back here. Let me, where am I? So, just want to do vi hello world.ts, and you can see, so you create this greeting account, and what's going to happen is this greeting schema, you never pass it to the program. At least I don't think you do. What you pass to the program is the instruction. Let's see. Now I could be wrong with this. So you got the public key, create with seed, greeting seed, and program ID. You got the greeted account, and you're gonna do an instruction, and let me see if I can find that. This is greeted account, and you notice the transaction, there is nothing, oh, this is interesting. So Lamport says get minimal balance for rent exemption. So that's kind of talking about, I think, the speed, the space that's going to be used. And then when you confirm your transaction, but I'm trying to see where instruction. Say hello. Okay, so this is going to do a transaction in this method, which is, looks like it starts way up here. Let me see. So this here matches with this. You can see there's no, can't even see it. And I think, so this matches, so you can see it's doing this whole transaction thing. But then, say hello is where you create your instruction. Notice it has the key, the signer, and then it has program ID and the buffer, which we know we sent. Again, we're doing another transaction where we're sending the instruction. And connection, transaction, which has an instruction. And that's all passing it to our code. And then the payer. So the key thing, if you want to pass stuff to the program, is it has to go in that data field in the instruction. And that's pretty, look, from what I understand, that's pretty, the data is where stuff is actually passed around and stored in the, so anyway, I think that's going to be all for now. I think I have to work you guys up another example that I think will be more useful, or will be more correct than what I've been playing around with. So, at any rate, again, hopefully this has been helpful. So, let's before I finish, let's just go over again what my thoughts are here. So, I think the greeted account, or the greeting, way up at the top here, the greeting account is mainly for holding, for holding stuff in here. Because how it's used is here we deserialize these items, and what I think, and then we have a then we could put things in the log. The question the thing I have to understand is exactly how this Bosch stuff works. Number two, the key to sending data in and out of the program is that data field that is a buffer, and I'm going to work on an example that does that. So those are the two main things. So again, hopefully this has been helpful, and I do want to understand this Bosch thing so I can present it to you and demonstrate also the JSON. So again, thank you for watching, and I will speak to you next time. Take care.